There's a silent epidemic affecting millions of men across the world. One that's quietly destroying the lives of countless fathers, grandfathers, brothers, and husbands. And the consequences of ignoring it are devastating. Hello, I'm Dr. Madison Lee, and as a medical professional with over 12 years of experience specializing in prostate cancer, I've had the privilege and the burden of treating thousands of men facing this disease. But there's one conversation I believe every man over 60 needs to have. Not in whispers, not when symptoms appear, and definitely not when it's already advanced. It's a conversation about prostate cancer prevention. And more importantly, about the 5 simple daily habits that research shows can dramatically reduce your risk, in some cases by up to 40%. These aren't expensive treatments. These aren't complicated protocols. What I'm about to share with you is backed by decades of research from institutions like Johns Hopkins, Harvard, and the American Cancer Society. Credible, actionable strategies that men around the world are using to protect themselves from the second most common cancer in men. If you're over 60, or if someone you love is, I'm urging you to stay with me. These 5 daily habits may seem simple, but their combined protective effect can be life-saving. In fact, one of them might completely surprise you. So stay until the end if you care about your prostate health and longevity, because this could be the most important video you watch this year. To understand why these habits are so critical, you need to grasp the scope of this problem. According to the American Cancer Society, 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer during their lifetime. For men over 65, that number jumps to 1 in 6. Even more concerning, prostate cancer is often silent. Most men have no symptoms until the disease has already progressed. By the time urinary problems, pain, or blood appears, you're often looking at advanced stages. But here's what gives me hope as a physician. Prostate cancer is highly preventable when you understand the risk factors and take proactive action. Recent landmark studies have shown that men who consistently practice specific daily habits reduce their risk by 30 to 40% compared to those who don't. We're not talking about genetic luck. We're talking about modifiable behaviors that you control. The prostate is a walnut-sized gland sitting below your bladder. Its cells are incredibly sensitive to inflammation, hormones, oxidative stress, and environmental toxins. When these factors accumulate over decades, normal cells can transform into cancerous ones. But when you actively combat inflammation, support hormonal balance, and protect cellular DNA through daily habits, you create an internal environment where cancer struggles to develop. Let me show you exactly what those habits are. And I'm not just going to tell you what to do, I'm going to explain the science behind why each one works. Let's start with one of the most powerful dietary interventions for prostate cancer prevention: cooked tomatoes. Tomatoes contain lycopene, a potent antioxidant that specifically accumulates in prostate tissue. But here's the critical detail most men don't know: raw tomatoes don't provide the same benefit. When tomatoes are cooked, especially with healthy fats like olive oil, the lycopene becomes up to 4 times more bioavailable. Your body can actually absorb and use it. The science: a meta-analysis of 42 studies published in Cancer Causes and Control involving over 692,000 men found that those who consumed cooked tomatoes at least 3 times per week had a 28% lower risk of prostate cancer, compared to those who rarely ate them. How it works: lycopene is a powerful antioxidant that protects prostate cell DNA from oxidative damage, the kind of damage that leads to mutations in cancer. It also reduces inflammation and may slow the growth of existing abnormal cells. What I recommend: eat tomato-based dishes 3 to 4 times per week minimum. Focus on cooked preparations: tomato sauce, roasted tomatoes, tomato soup. Always pair with olive oil or another healthy fat. 1 cup of tomato sauce provides about 30 milligrams of lycopene, the optimal daily dose. One of my patients, George, age 68, had elevated PSA levels that worried us both. After 6 months of consistently eating tomato-based dishes 4 times per week, his PSA stabilized and even decreased slightly. His follow-up biopsy showed no cancer. This isn't a cure, but it's powerful prevention. The second habit is so simple it's almost insulting: walking. But not just any walking, purposeful, daily, 30-minute walks. The science: research from Harvard School of Public Health following 48,000 men for 28 years found that men who engaged in vigorous physical activity, including brisk walking, for 3 or more hours per week had a 35% lower risk of developing aggressive prostate cancer. Another study from the University of California showed that men diagnosed with prostate cancer who walked briskly for 3 hours weekly had a 57% lower risk of disease progression. How it works: physical activity reduces systemic inflammation throughout your body, including in the prostate. It improves insulin sensitivity, which is crucial because high insulin levels are linked to cancer growth. Walking also helps regulate hormones, reduces body fat, which produces estrogen that can fuel prostate cancer, and improves immune function. What I recommend: 30 minutes of brisk walking daily, ideally split between morning and evening. Brisk means you can talk but not sing, about 3 to 4 miles per hour. Outdoor walking provides additional vitamin D from sunlight, another protective factor. Even if you're already exercising, adding post-meal walks provides extra metabolic benefits. Before we continue, I'd love to know where you're watching from. Write your city or state in the comments so I can see how far our prostate health community reaches. This channel grows because of men like you seeking reliable information. The third habit involves a specific family of vegetables that research shows has remarkable anti-cancer properties: cruciferous vegetables. This includes broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, kale, cabbage, and bok choy. The science: a study from the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center found that men who ate 3 or more servings of cruciferous vegetables per week had a 41% reduction in prostate cancer risk compared to those eating less than 1 serving weekly. How it works: these vegetables contain sulforaphane and indole-3-carbinol, compounds that activate the body's detoxification enzymes. They help eliminate carcinogens before they can damage DNA. They also influence genes that suppress tumor growth and trigger cancer cell death, which is apoptosis. Cruciferous vegetables are particularly effective against aggressive, hormone-sensitive prostate cancers. What I recommend: aim for 4 to 5 servings of cruciferous vegetables per week minimum. Lightly steamed or raw is best. Overcooking destroys beneficial compounds. Variety matters. Rotate between different types. 1 serving equals 1 cup raw or 1/2 cup cooked. Pro tip: if you find them hard to digest, start with smaller portions and gradually increase. Your gut bacteria will adapt. I had a patient, Robert, whose father and brother both died from aggressive prostate cancer. At 62, Robert was terrified he'd be next. We implemented a plant-forward diet rich in cruciferous vegetables. At 72, his PSA remains low and stable, with no signs of cancer. Genetics isn't destiny when you have the right habits. The fourth habit is one of the most researched anti-cancer beverages in the world: green tea. The science: a comprehensive review of 29 studies involving over 1 million participants found that men who drank 3 to 5 cups of green tea daily had up to a 25% lower risk of prostate cancer. Japanese men, who consume high amounts of green tea, have some of the lowest prostate cancer rates in the world, despite genetic predisposition being similar to other populations. How it works: green tea contains polyphenol, particularly EGCG, which is epigallocatechin gallate, which has been shown in laboratory studies to inhibit cancer cell growth, induce apoptosis, or programmed cell death in cancer cells, reduce inflammation, block enzymes that cancer cells need to grow, and prevent blood vessel formation that feeds tumors, which is anti-angiogenesis. Comprendido. Prosiguiendo com a converso de partres, asico final, mentendo a fidelidade absoluta ao idioma inglés e as suas regras de formateco. Rotero formatido, Part 3, Absolute Fidelity to English. What I recommend: 3 to 4 cups of green tea daily, preferably between meals. Brew for 3 to 5 minutes in water just below boiling, around 175 degrees Fahrenheit, or 80 degrees Celsius. Avoid adding milk, it may bind to polyphenol and reduce absorption. Matcha green tea provides even higher concentrations of beneficial compounds. Important note, green tea contains caffeine. If you're sensitive, have your last cup by mid-afternoon to avoid sleep disruption. Now I want to ask you something to help create better content. What concerns you most about prostate health? Write number 1 if it's cancer risk, or number 2 if it's urinary symptoms like frequent nighttime urination. Your answer helps us understand what topics matter most to you. The 5th habit addresses something many men don't realize affects prostate cancer risk: body weight, specifically abdominal fat. The science, research published in the Journal of Clinical Oncology found that men with a BMI over 30, which is obese, had a 20% higher risk of aggressive prostate cancer and were 34% more likely to die from it compared to men with healthy weight. More concerning, a study from the University of Oxford following 141,000 men showed that for every 5-point increase in BMI, the risk of dying from prostate cancer increased by 14%. How it works: excess body fat, especially visceral fat around your organs, is metabolically active. It produces inflammatory compounds, increases insulin resistance, and converts testosterone to estrogen through an enzyme called aromatase. Higher estrogen levels can fuel hormone-sensitive prostate cancers. Fat tissue also produces leptin, which has been linked to cancer cell proliferation. What I recommend: maintain a healthy waist circumference, under 40 inches for most men. Focus on reducing belly fat through diet and exercise. Even a 5 to 10% weight loss shows measurable reduction in cancer risk markers. Combine the previous 4 habits, they naturally support healthy weight. Practical approach: measure your waist monthly. Track progress with photos and how clothes fit, not just the scale. Sustainable weight loss is 1 to 2 pounds per week. Focus on whole foods, adequate protein, and regular movement. I've seen this transformation repeatedly. Men who lose excess weight, particularly abdominal fat, show improvements in PSA levels, inflammatory markers, and overall vitality. These 5 habits: cooked tomatoes, daily walking, cruciferous vegetables, green tea, and weight management, may seem simple. But in that simplicity lies extraordinary power. You don't have to wait for symptoms. You don't have to wait for an elevated PSA. You can take control of your prostate health starting today. In my clinical experience, the men who age most gracefully, who remain healthy and independent well into their 70s and 80s, are those who act preventively. They don't wait for a crisis. They build protective habits daily. Now you have the same opportunity. The research is clear. Men who consistently practice these 5 habits reduce their prostate cancer risk by 30 to 40%. Those are odds worth fighting for. Share this information with the men you love, fathers, brothers, friends. If you're over 60, commit to starting at least 3 of these habits this week. I want to hear from you. Drop a comment and tell me, which of these 5 habits are you going to start with? Your commitment could inspire another man to take action. If this information empowered you, please like this video so YouTube's algorithm helps us reach more men who need it. Subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell for more evidence-based content about men's health. Remember, prostate cancer prevention isn't about luck or genetics. It's about daily decisions that compound over time. Caring for your health doesn't start with fear, it starts with knowledge and action. These 5 habits aren't just about avoiding cancer. They improve energy, enhance vitality, support overall health, and give you the best chance at a long, active life. You deserve to age with dignity, health, and independence. Your family deserves to have you healthy and present for years to come. Thank you for trusting me with this conversation. Until next time, I'm Dr. Madison Lee reminding you, your best years don't have to be behind you. Protection starts with action. Today.